next Harvard-Radcliffe class of 66 author is Lawrence Devoe of Augusta, Georgia. Lawrence has had a distinguished career in obstetrics and gynecology as professor at the Medical College of Georgia at Augusta University. He's published over 300 scholarly papers and abstracts, taught over 10,000 medical students, among other career accomplishments. Lawrence's book, Yankee by Birth, Southern by Choice, is an account of this Chicagoan's discovery of the United States and becoming a full-fledged Southerner. Is that an apt description of the title of your book?
That's absolutely very close.
No. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, there were a couple of things. By way of background, I have Southern heritage through one of my grandfathers, who was born in Kentucky, and then his family moved to Louisiana. And he introduced me to the South when I was 14. And I spent a week with relatives I'd never met before, and I couldn't understand a single word that they said because they had very heavy accents. But I did learn how to drink sweet tea, which is one of the beverages of the South, along with Coca-Cola.
Absolutely.
And then I had a second round in the South when I got drafted during Vietnam as a medical officer, and spent 2 wonderful years, 731 days and nights, and I counted them all, at Fort Benning, Georgia. So that was my second encounter of the South. And the third and final one was when I moved there to Augusta, Georgia in 1983 to join the faculty in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Medical College of Georgia. And what was supposed to be a maybe 4 or 5 year move, because people who are in academic medicine often do that. They do what they need to do in one place and then job hop to the next place for a higher rank and more money. I married a Southerner, and not just a Southerner, but a daughter of the Deep South, who could trace her origins back to colonial times, so that you don't get more Deep South than that.
No.
And once you tie that kind of knot, it never lets go. And so this has been my home for more than half my life.
What were your greatest misconceptions about the South, its people, history, and culture?
Well, I think one of the things that all Yankees, of which I was a former Yankee, but I don't consider myself to be a Yankee anymore, a couple of things. First of all, Southerners typically have a drawl. And my grandmother, who was married to my Southern grandfather, was a Yankee. And she considered the fact that the drawl really made Southerners sound like they were a little slow-witted, which is clearly not true. It does take a little longer for the words to reach your ears. Then again, it's a very gentle form of speech, and they can say things to you that aren't very nice, but they sound okay if they come out with a Southern drawl. One of my favorite expressions is, well, bless my heart. You can use that in a number of circumstances, some of which are telling a person that they might not be so bright, or that you had it coming to you. But I've had this book in me for probably my entire life. And I remember a conversation that I had we had a local writer, poet, short story writer, raconteur, who was from the Augusta area, old Augusta area, I should say. And we were at a cocktail party, and I asked him, his name was Starkey Flight, and I asked Starkey, I said, do you have to be born a Southerner to write about the South? And in his inimitable way, he said, no, but it sure does help. So I had to come up with a way of doing this, because most of my readers are going to be Southerners, because that's who knows about the book. And I did it in such a way where I was non-judgmental. I described the things about Southern living which are very desirable. I mean, there are some drawbacks, but compared to life in the North, we began as a human species growing up in a tropical climate. We were never intended to live in the tundra with freezing cold winds, and snow and ice and all that. So I figure I'm just coming back to my real roots, that I was destined to be a Southerner all my life. It just took me, 38 years actually to realize that. the first half is really a personal journey. The second half actually is more or less a guide to Southern living, where I do cover things like climate adaptation, Southern food. I had never really had grits before I moved to the South. And I said, well, I'm not sure I would like this. Can I just have a grit? And they said, no, you have to have grits. So that was part of it. I do eat grits every so often, but there's a whole cuisine here. And actually, a lot of it is pretty delicious. And I got used to it after a while because when I visited my in-laws, that's what they had for lunch or dinner. So there's a chapter on Southern food, and Southerners like to drink. So there's a whole chapter that's devoted to Southern beverages. And then there's a chapter devoted to things that are worth seeing and doing in the South, getting around if you like fishing or hunting or camping or hiking. There's plenty of that here, and you can do it most of the year. There's a chapter on learning how to speak Southern because it's a language in and of itself, and it takes a while. I didn't speak Southern when I came. I had a nurse who translated for me so I could understand what the patients were trying to tell me. But after a while, I caught on to the dialect. And then there's a whole chapter about that. And it's something, if you're going to make this your home, you need to learn at least how to understand Southern, if not to adopt the accent. And I think finally there's a chapter in there as well in just looking at the virtues of Southern living in all aspects of life. And the pace is slower, but you'll still get there. It just won't be at the speed of light. And that the people are as a group, the nicest, warmest, most welcoming people I've ever met in my entire life. My Southern family, see, I did the unthinkable. There are three types of Yankees, Fred. There's the Yankee who goes to the South for a visit and then comes home. Then there's the damn Yankee, goes to the South for a visit and stays. And then there's the goddamn Yankee who goes to the South for a visit, stays, and marries a Southern belle. So I won't tell you which one I am, but you could probably